Hi everyone, I want to welcome you to this quarterly Customer Connect event, and today we're going to be talking about how to enhance your monitoring with NetBees Reporting 2.0. And for those of you who have not met with in a while, my name is Stevie Kruger, and I am a Customer Success Engineer over here at NetBees. In today's agenda, we're going to dive a little bit into NetBees reporting. We're going to talk about the new weekly status report that came out in version 11, and then we're going to drill down with the kinds of reports you can generate to explain the differences. Then we're going to dive into reporting 2.0, show you all the new changes in our reporting, and then we're going to wrap up with what's coming next in reporting, our NetBees community we just launched, and a Q&A. So weekly status report. This came out in version 11, and the point of this is to give you a TLDR of what has happened in your network in the last week. That's going to show you changes in your deployment, how many critical performance alerts you had and compare it to the previous week, as well as your top 5 worst performing agents, targets, and Wi-Fi networks. And I have an example of one right here for you. So here's your high level statistics. So change your deployment, your critical performance alerts to see if they're more or less than the previous week, your top 5 worst performing agents by total amount of alerts, both critical and performance, and you'll get daily numbers as well. Your top 5 worst performing targets by total amount of incidents, as well as time and incidents per day. And then lastly, total amount of connection failures to Wi-Fi networks. In this case, we had 1 on Saturday, and that was it. And then this is your current state of your deployment, so how many licenses you still available, and how many of your agents have been offline more than 2 weeks. You'll get your top 5 based off of the ones that have been offline the longest. So now we want to talk about daily versus weekly versus monthly, and this really only applies to agent target reports because you're going to get timelines of data, and that will change on how it looks. So when you have a daily report, you're going to get hour-by-hour incidents per agents or target. So if it's an agent report, it'll be per target. For the target report, it'll be per agent, and the aggregate averages on the timeline are per minute. When you bump that up to weekly, the hour-by-hour incidents incidents are going to be hour-by-hour of total incidents, and the aggregate averages are going to be per hour on a timeline. And then when you bump that up to monthly, the incidents are going to be based off of per day, and the aggregate averages are also going to be per day. So let's talk about reporting 2.0. So we have the network status report, the agent report, and the scheduled test report, and with that you'll have speed test, iPerf, and VoIP. And what you'll see here, it's under the new report section. It's next to the legacy, which is the previous reporting. So network status. This is going to show you both your agents and your targets for whichever time period you prefer. And it's going to give you your aggregate averages. So for the targets, it's going to show you how all the agents performed on that target across all 4 ping, DNS, HTTP, and traceroute, if those were the tests that we're running, as well as your critical and performance alerts. And then for the agents, it's going to show you availability, its network speed, download, upload, and latency, as well as critical and performance alerts. Your agent report is going to show incident reporting. You're going to have timeline of metrics, your aggregate averages. So you'll see your timeline here and you'll be able to cursor over. You'll also see your performance and critical alerts. And then you'll be able to see performance metrics such as speed test. On the target side, it's going to be very similar. You still get your incident reporting. You'll have your timeline and metrics with your aggregated averages. You'll have your performance and critical alerts as well. And then you'll have your performance metrics listed here. Ping, DNS, HTTP, and if you're running traceroute, you'll have that listed as well. And then lastly, we have your scheduled test report. So you can do a single agent or you can show a full test. So if you have a network speed test with 5, 10, 50, 100 agents, you can show that, or an individual agent. Speed test, iPerf, and VoIP are available. And then we have a new feature, which is ISP reporting. We'll break down performance by ISP and then show you your averages as well in performance, and you'll have your chart of averages. So let's show you what each one of those looks like. So first, we'll do network status. We'll look at this one, and we'll zoom in so you can see better here. So we're going to take this agent we'll do this one for example. So the uptime of this agent's 100%, which is great. Its performance on speed test is pretty solid, but we have some performance alerts. So let's break down what a performance alert is. These are ones that you set within the dashboard here. So if you go to settings, anomaly detection, we have both your up-down, which are going to be your critical alerts, and then you have your performance alerts. So these are completely customizable that you can configure. So in this case, this agent went into or had 298 incidents of performance alert. So that's whenever it goes into alert and back out, that's 1, right? Critical alerts are a little different. So that's going to be when you have consecutive failures. So in our case, as I showed you here, ours are configured to 5. You can change these obviously, but these are configured to 5. So what this report would be showing is this agent in particular had 5 consecutive failures, and then it either cleared it or it stayed in it, and once it cleared, it happened 1 more time. So a total of 2, right? Now, when we look at the target section, we're going to scroll down here. This is where I need to explain this number versus this number because they are not the same. This number is going to show you that 1.44% of all the tests ran across the agents targeting this particular target failed. What this is showing is that there were 40 critical alerts across all the agents. So if an agent has 5 consecutive failures, it goes into critical alert. That's 1 critical alert. If it continues to fail, it's still 1 critical alert until it clears. And then if it happens again and it continues to fail, that's a second one, right? So this number can be low, but this number can be high because if it goes into critical alert for a long period of time, you're going to have a lot of failures. So this number, is definitely a little bit on the higher side. And then performance alerts, again, kind of works, in the same way. And you're going to you'll have listed all the targets that you choose and all the agents that you choose. And you can pick and choose what you want to display here. Now, let's take a look at an agent report. So we're going to pull the daily Wi-Fi agent report right here. And this one is going to show you all the targets that's running. So in this case, we're doing pretty good. No critical alerts, no performance alerts. Failure rates are mostly within the hundreds, not even the tenths. So pretty good across the board. Hour by hour, no performance or critical alerts seen here as well. We only had 1 speed test run during this period because it was just a daily report. So you can see 78 down, 22 up, and 15 millisecond for latency. And then here is your timeline. So since this is a daily report, this timeline is going to give you minute by minute averages. So if I cursor over here, you can see a lot of these ping tests went through the roof, over 200 milliseconds. You can see the breakdown here, so it's very easy to follow. You don't have to actually look at the physical chart and try to figure out which one's which. The pop-out breakdown is going to do that for you. And then you can go down here as well. Of course, in this case, we can kind of tell which one this is because it's like a light blue color. And then same thing, you'll have this with ping as well. And then the target performance is going to fundamentally be the same, just reverse. So we're going to look at the daily Zendesk report, and this is going to show incident status per agent. And then here's going to be your chart here. So it's going to be each agent, how well it performed to these targets. So you can see pretty good across the board. They're actually all really, really, really close. And you can even see here, all but 1 agent is averaging 20 to 30 milliseconds. In fact, only the Wi-Fi agent, which is performing a little bit worse than the others. As you see, it also has some failings here as well. And you can also see your HTTP load time. So you'll have this performance graphs as well. Very easy to follow. And then here's your timeline, much of the same. You can go between each one. So here's going to be your HTTP, here's going to be your DNS, and then your ping respectively. Also still have your legend down here, but it's usually easier just to follow the pop out. And you can see Zendesk for a lot of these actually in particular. Well, they're all Zendesk, but during this period, we had the Wi-Fi agent. We had a lot of our agents performing very, very suboptimal on the ping test. So very useful there. And then lastly is going to be your scheduled test report. So let's go look at our speed test. We have one, let's do Pittsburgh report, because this has a bunch, I believe. Yes. So here you have your scatter plot of all of your agents. So if you select a specific test, this is going to show all of them. So you have your download, your upload, and your latency over here. Then here's going to be your graph. So what this is telling us is this had 28 tests that just did not want to run, right? There could be a firewall issue, could be a lot of reasons, but we have your warning count, and your warning count is going to be based off of conditions, right? So we have no conditions set, so we don't have any warning count. If we had like 25 down, 5 up, or 150 millisecond latency, you would have warning counts if they perform suboptimally, right? And then here, we have your ISP quality. Now let me show you one that was on multiple different ISPs, because this will give you a good overview here. So here you actually see we have some warning count here because this agent was performing suboptimally quite often. Here's your timeline of metrics that I showed you earlier. So you'll be able to see each run and cursor over if it's easier to do that versus follow. Once you get into like the dozens of speed tests, it's easier. Just look to legend. And then here we have ISP quality. So it's going to break it down by each individual ISP. And where this could be useful is a couple different ways. If you have like a fallback ISP at your location and a speed test runs while it's on that fallback, you can see how well that ISP is running compared to your primary, right? If you have different ISPs at different locations, that's also really useful. So having this breakdown on how each ISP is performing, definitely a lot of use as you figure this test several different ways to get a lot of value out of this. And then here's going to be a breakdown of the rated performance. So bad means it didn't run. Okay means it probably ran a little under your metrics. Good means it cleared your metrics. And great means it's performing well. And then here is going to be your warning occurrences. So whether it's going to be based off of error count here, right? So if any of them had any errors, it would be listed under here. Obviously, we had no alerts, so we are good to go there. So what's coming next, right? So email and public reports. Right now, whenever you go and generate a report, so such as, you go here, you go generate a report from scratch. This is where you would generate all your reports. You select your whatever agents or groups you want, whatever targets you want. You pull the time period, right? So last 7 days, yesterday, last 30, or customize and go back as far as your retention period allows. Agent, same way, select your agent, select your target, time period, schedule test, select your test, either your specific test or agent, time period. But what's coming is being able to generate these, like a last 7-day report, and have it automatically be emailed out on any given interval to anybody you want, right? So being able to automatically generate these reports and have them emailed to people, whether you want to do like a daily report Monday through Friday, 8 o'clock, or a weekly report Monday at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, that is coming in version 13. It's currently in development. Allowing non-users to see reporting data outside NetBees. So if you send them the reports, they're able to look deeper into the data without having to need a login in NetBees. There's going to be API calls to be able to show them some data, as well as webhook integration, being able to push alerts and notifications to a Teams channel, and then ServiceNow integration, allowing us to push NetBees to ServiceNow for ticket generation. And lastly, I want to highlight the NetBees community. So this is something that just launched in Q2, and this particular highlight's pretty cool. This is how to pull the agent tab into a CSV. So what I mean by that is this, right? If you go to copy and paste this in CSV, it doesn't really move very well. So this article in particular is talking about how to do it with our API to make it clean. So it's community.netbees.net. You can sign up, make a free anonymous account. So, keep your anonymity. And you're able to post here, you're able to comment here, you're able to ask questions. This is not a replacement for support. Please still open tickets, use chat. If you have any requests or any question on how to do something, definitely reach out to me and my team. But if it's one of those things where like there's a feature request you've been interested about, maybe put it here, see what other people are talking about. Maybe it's, kind of a how-to. Maybe you asked me how to do something, I showed you, but it didn't really show the results that you wanted. See how other people are doing it. Search here, ask here, interact with us, interact with other people. So it's a very, very good resource to use going forward, and it keeps all the communication somewhere you can easily revisit instead of searching through your email all the time. And that's it. We're going to wrap it up with our Q&A. At this time, I ask you to come off mute, and we'll go one at a time and ask any questions you may have.